In this video, we're going to discuss sticky notes inside Whimsical. We're going to talk about cards, stacks, voting, and examples. Just to orient you real briefly, there is a main toolbar over here that shows you which mode you're in at the top. You can do any of the activities inside of one board, but we're going to be in sticky notes. And you have two options which are only available in sticky note mode, which is add card and add stack. The other 5 options are going to be available no matter which mode you're in. The other thing that's unique to sticky notes is you have voting up here, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and we're using a different grid for sticky notes, which you can see when you're at 100%. I just hit 0 to go to 100%, or if you're zoomed in further, it will also be there. If you zoom out past 100%, then you will no longer see the grid. So we're going to start by talking about cards. There are a couple easy ways to create cards, and the most obvious way is to click Add Card in the main toolbar, and then you can add that to the canvas. The other way you can do this is by double-clicking on the canvas anywhere that you would like, and a card will show up there. You can also hit the keyboard shortcut A for Add Card, and that'll give you another way to add them. And the fourth way would be from a stack. Now we're going to take a look at the contextual toolbar for cards. And you'll see there's a couple options in here. One is for expand card, which you can hit Command Enter or Control Enter on a PC, and it will open up the expanded card. We'll take a closer look at that in a second. I just want to show you the rest of the options here. There's 3 different sizes for sticky note cards: small, medium, and large. You can change the color. And here is the watch card option, which when pressed means that you will receive email notifications if there are any comments that are made inside of the card. So with that, we can open up the card and take a look inside. The expanded card has a number of features inside, which I'll show you now. You have the title at the top, and then you have this description area below. Now the description area can support different types of styling. So you'll see this with the icon that's to the left of the currently selected line. And you have numbered lists, checklists, code blocks, and you can also add images. So you can see these are very easy to change between. You can also add links and images. Comments go down here. Great. And there's some actions here at the top. Here you can get a link that goes directly to this card, and it's going to inherit the permissions from the board. There's stop watching or start watching, and you can delete the card. You can change the color right here, and stacks are basically a way of grouping cards together. So any of the stacks that are on this current board are going to show up here, and these are some from the examples that I'll show you later. So you can move the location of the card that way, and you can assign them to different teammates. I'll assign this to myself, and you see in the activity feed that this was assigned to me. Now, you'll notice that there's a few more icons down here, and this corresponds to when there's a description, when you're watching it, when there's a comment, and then when it's assigned to someone. So pretty straightforward there. This icon here we didn't talk about before lets you edit the text of the title without going into the expanded state. So it's kind of like a quick edit button. So I'm going to do this here, and I want to show you one other thing. So we're going to make the title longer. Okay, and we're going to change the size of this card, and you'll see that we're truncating. So we have gone with more of a standard card size approach where you can fit all that goes into the particular size, but then we'll truncate after that, and if you'd like to read, you can click on it and see what's in there. And this makes it really easy for them to stack in consistent sizes, and this same thing applies to stacks. And before we go on to talking about stacks, I want to talk about one advanced feature which lets you change the default styling of a card when it's placed on the board. So let's say that our default, we want to go with this small green size. So what you'll do is you'll select this card and go to Save as Default Style, And then if you hit A for add card, all new cards will be in that style. So just a little tip for you there. Let's talk now about stacks. I'll go over how you create them, how you can resize them, the contextual toolbar options that are available, and also how stack sidebars work. We'll create a stack next to these 10 cards. To do this, go over to the main toolbar and hit Add Stack. When you're adding the stack to the canvas, you can click and drag to make it wider or taller. We can add a name for the stack here. And you could have also used the keyboard shortcut S to create a new stack. Let's go ahead and duplicate this so we have 2 stacks over here. We'll take these cards and we'll drag them over here and drop them on top, and they'll order themselves. You can see that there's 4 showing, and then it says 6 more. So there's an overflow state for the stack. I'll show you that in just a second. Here you can rename the stack. So let's say this is stack 1. You can also change the presentation of the cards inside. So let's say for this stack, we want them to be small. Now, the other thing you can do is you can change the default card color. This won't change or affect any of the cards that are existing in the stack, but it will change the color for any newly created cards. So this new card is green. There's a sort by option, which is pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So now these are in numerical order. I'm now going to change these 8 visible cards to a different color. We'll make those red. And this is going to help demonstrate what the sidebar is. So this option here says show cards in sidebar. I can click this here, or I can click the button at the bottom of the stack that says 2 more. And what this is going to do is bring open the sidebar, which is the full list of all cards in this stack. So these are the red ones that I changed color that were visible at the beginning, and these 2 that are below the line are the ones that weren't visible, and they're in the overflow state. So I can do things like reordering in this sidebar. So I can take 10 all the way to the top and then close the sidebar, and you see that 10 is now at the top of the stack. Something else that I'd like to mention about stacks is the cards will inherit the size designation that's on the stack. So this stack is in small, and this stack is set to medium. So if I drag over to the second stack, the card will then change to the size that the stack is set at. One last thing about stacks before we move on. I want to show you how you can lock them, and I'll hit Command Shift L on this one. And so both these stacks are locked, and what that really means, of course, is that I can't move the stack. I can still move cards between the stacks. I can still create new cards. The thing that's different is that I won't mistakenly move the stack when I'm actually trying to move a card. Let's now talk about voting. This can be done by going up to the thumbs up icon in the header here. You can choose the number of votes each person gets. And something to keep in mind is that only people who have edit access to the board can vote. So they not only need to be a part of your shared workspace, but they also need to be an editor in that workspace. And then you can send out the link, and anyone can initiate voting or end the voting session. And so in this case, I have chosen a max number of votes per person as 3. And the way that you vote is you hover over a card and you can vote for it in the collapsed state, or you can open up the expanded state and vote here. When everybody's done voting, you can end the voting, and you'll see the number of votes each card got is going to be in the bottom right. And then you can also click into it, and there's a new section here which shows who voted for it and how many votes it received. And that's how voting works. If you click back into it, you can see the results, which again is just going to show you the tallies. And if you wanted to do another voting session in the same board, then what you would need to do is you'd need to resume voting, and then people could choose whether they want to vote for the same thing. If they don't, you can remove your vote and vote for something else. Now we're going to go through a few examples of how you can use sticky notes. Starting with this one that we're already looking at, you see 3 vertical stacks. This is a basic Kanban style board, and you can move the cards between these stacks like so, and assign the cards to different teammates, and that's pretty basic. This is a layout that we've started using now that we're doing Basecamp's Shape Up methodology for project management, and this is the hill chart. And so what we'll do is we'll have these cards over here, which are essentially projects that we're going to take on during a work cycle. And then you can place them in here when they're in progress, and then you can move them up and over the hill chart. And then when they're shipped, you can throw them in the shipped stack. This lean canvas layout demonstrates the flexibility of both stacks and card sizes. So if you were to go over here and change this stack to medium or large, it's not going to break anything. It still works within the grid that we've created. And the other thing that you'll find is the benefits of the sidebar. So we have kind of this overflow. Once again, it doesn't break the layout, and you can have more cards in here than you have room for because you can always open these in the sidebar here. This prioritization matrix uses one main stack on the side over here to hold all of the ideas, and then you have 4 individual stacks depending on the user value or effort. So you could kind of take these cards and just drop them right into the stack that you want them for a prioritization exercise. This final example just shows you more of a custom layout using connectors, stacks, cards, and gives you an idea of something that you could create that fits the exact workflow that you're looking for. So you can move these through like this, and you can imagine tailoring it to your specific process. And that is it for sticky notes. Thanks so much.